Your garbage disposal is kind of the unsung hero of the kitchen, right? It just hums along, grinding away leftovers without a complaint. But sometimes it starts to talk. And usually it's not saying anything nice. So let's dive in and figure out what all those jarring noises and mysterious drips really mean.
Oh yeah, that sound. The one that makes you physically cringe. That sudden, screeching metal on metal sound from deep inside your sink that just stops you in your tracks. If you know exactly what I'm talking about, well, you're definitely in the right place. Because here's the thing. Those sounds aren't just random. They're signals. They're basically cries for help in a language we don't normally speak. So today, we're going to become fluent in disposal speak and learn how to catch these problems before they turn into full-blown kitchen disasters.
So, we're going to break this all down into the 5 big warning signs. Think of this as your disposal's way of crying for help. Let's get right into it.
Okay, first up, the most obvious one, loud or just plain weird noises. You know that normal steady hum your disposal makes? Well, when that hum suddenly changes into something a little more aggressive, it's time to pay attention. Let's really listen to what these sounds are trying to tell us.
So, let's decode this. If you hear a really harsh grinding sound, that's often a sign that some of the internal parts are just worn out or loose. What about a rattling? That's almost always something hard that fell in there. Like a piece of silverware or a bottle cap. Now, a low quiet hum with no action, that means the motor has power, but the blades are jammed solid. And that straining sound? Oof, that's your motor basically screaming that it's overheating and about to give up.
All right, on to sign number 2. It's constantly jamming up. You find yourself hitting the reset button all the time. Or worse, the water just isn't draining at all. This is more than just a little annoying. It's a major symptom of a bigger issue.
So, why does it keep jamming on you? Well, a lot of the time, it's because the blades, or technically the little impeller lugs, have gotten dull over time. They just can't break down food scraps the way they used to. But the real problem here is that every single time it jams, you're putting a massive amount of strain on the motor. And doing that over and over is just going to kill the unit way faster than it should.
Now this next one can be really sneaky. You might not hear a single thing wrong, but then one day you open that cabinet under the sink and there's a puddle. This is one of those signs you absolutely cannot afford to ignore.
So where's that water coming from? Well, it's probably because the seals inside have failed. Or even worse, it could be a crack in the actual body of the disposal. And you have got to act fast on this, because now we're not just talking about a broken appliance. We're talking about warped cabinets, serious water damage, and the potential for nasty mold growth.
Okay, let's talk about power. Because when your disposal starts having electrical problems, it's officially graduated from being a plumbing annoyance to a genuine safety hazard.
So if you're constantly down on the floor pushing that little red reset button, or if the disposal just refuses to turn on at all, you need to listen up. This could mean the motor is completely fried, or there's some other serious electrical fault. And this is where all DIY projects have to stop. For your own safety, you have to call a licensed pro for this stuff. No exceptions.
And our 5th and final sign is one you're going to smell. I'm talking about that awful, funky odor coming out of your sink that just will not go away, no matter how many lemon peels you grind up.
When you've tried all the standard tricks and that smell is still there, that is a huge red flag. It's telling you there's a serious buildup of old food and bacteria deep inside the grinding chamber where you just can't clean. It could even be pointing to a bigger clog somewhere down in your pipes.
Okay, so you've spotted the signs. Now what do you do? Well, before you call in the pros, there are a couple of things you can do to safely check it out yourself. Let's look at your safe action plan.
So remember this. Number 1, and I mean it, safety first. Go to your circuit breaker and kill the power to the disposal. Completely. Then, step 2, grab a flashlight and some tongs and just look down the drain. You might just find a rogue spoon in there. And step 3, the golden rule. Never, ever, ever put your hand down into the disposal. If you can't see the problem right away, it's time to call for help.
So now we get to the big question, right? Is it worth it to repair this thing, or should you just replace it? This is always a tough call, so let's break down how to make that decision.
It's actually pretty straightforward. Look, if your unit's pretty new, if it's a simple fix, or if it's still under warranty, yeah, a repair probably makes sense. But if the unit is old, if the housing is cracked, or the motor is burned out, replacement is almost always the smarter move. A good rule of thumb, if the repair is going to cost more than half the price of a new one, just get a new one. The newer models are way quieter and more efficient anyway.
The best repair is the one you never have to make in the first place.
So let's wrap this up with a super simple wellness plan to keep your disposal happy and healthy for years.
It all comes down to a few basic do's and don'ts. Always run cold water when you're using it. It helps keep grease solid so it gets chopped up and washed away. And please, don't put fibrous stuff like celery stalks in there. They just wrap around the blades. Big piles of coffee grounds are a no-go too. They create this thick, heavy sludge. And obviously, no metal, no glass, no bones. Treat it right, and it'll treat you right.
So the next time your sink makes a weird noise, you'll know it's not just making noise. It's trying to tell you something. And that really makes you wonder, doesn't it? From the way your dishwasher rattles to that strange hum from the fridge, what other stories are your home appliances trying to tell you?